Like the mouth of the soil in the earth, breaking through the rocks, growing wild and tall till the buds begin to pop. So pack me in a bowl or roll me in a spliff. While you're breaking me down, you can feel your fingers stiff.
Hey, this is Ryan Herron, cannabis writer and advocate from Portland, Oregon.
And I'm Amanda Breeze. I'm an educator and cannabis reporter based out of Toronto.
And we're here today to talk about all the fun stuff around one of our favorite plants, cannabis. And especially today, we wanted to just kind of do an end of the year thing, go over the last year of the podcast and our projects and all the great weed and hash we got into. It just felt like a nice wrap up. So let's get into it.
Yes, I'm excited. Another year has gone by. Our end of year for the podcast is more end of summer. So we've officially done one full year and a bit at this point of episodes, which I think is very exciting.
Yeah, it was nice. This year, we got to celebrate our 1 year anniversary of the podcast. And it is kind of cool because I remember where we would put it out and we'd get like 6 listens. And I'd be like, I'm going to go listen on my brother's phone to get us that one more. And then now when I check in with the podcast, I'm always like, hey, we're doing all right. We got a lot of folks out here listening. I appreciate that. I know that sometimes it's just us kind of shooting the shit about our own experiences. And sometimes we're covering the news. Sometimes we're diving into books or white papers or anything. So fellow weed enthusiasts, I'm glad you found your people.
Yeah. Thanks to all of our listeners for so much support this year. 2023, I think, like for us as cannabis people, workers, enthusiasts, and as podcast hosts, I just feel like we've really covered a lot of cool stuff this year. And I'm just really appreciative of all the people that tune in. I feel like this has been a big year for the podcast. We've launched a bunch of projects. We've seen things start to finish. Now it's the end of 2023. We're about to get into 2024. And I just feel like it's just going to keep getting better. Yeah,
definitely. And, some folks have been reaching out trying to offer guests for the podcast, which we super appreciate. And after Amanda and I had kind of talked out some things, scheduled what we want to do, I literally had to tell this person hey, maybe we can get you on in a couple of seasons because we have so much fun stuff planned for the upcoming week. So it's cool. Hang with us. This fun careers in the industry thing that we're sort of working towards wrapping up right now has been super enlightening. It is very cool to see the through line seems to be people who are just I'm just going to do this and did it. So that's kind of inspiring and also a good reason to stick with the podcast because, hey, that's what we're doing here.
Well, I'm feeling very inspired. I'm excited to announce some of my exciting projects for 2024. And maybe we can reverse into some of our projects for 2023.
Yeah. Start with excitement, then we can go through all the old boring stuff we've already done.
Today, I launched all the promo for a project that has been very dear to me that I've been thinking about for a really long time. So it's called the Cannabis Literary Showcase. And basically, it's going to be launching in March. And I'm looking for anyone who has a comic book or a literary work, like a magazine, a publication, like an actual book, a zine, who wants to exhibit at the showcase. And all I want to do is just promote some of the amazing literary works in the cannabis community. I know we're all feeling the dread of posting on social media at this point because you don't know if it's going to be flagged, if anyone's even going to see it. So I'm bringing publications into 2024 because this is a place to just see a ton of publications all at once. And the best part of this project so far, aside from the fact that I get to see all of these amazing books, so many people are secretly working on books that haven't been put out yet. For every one person that's been interested in sending me a book, there's 2 people that have been working on or thinking about writing one. And guys, just fucking finish it. Just fucking finish your book already. Send it to me and get it in the showcase. I know you guys are out there.
Oh, seriously. Well, and I'm one of them. I've had, a little project that's like just chilling in my Google Docs for forever. Many actually. But one that I was like, oh, I could probably finish for this. And Amanda, I mean, I don't know if you're selling other people on this, but you were like, remember the book fair when you were a kid? And they would just roll out a bunch of shelves and they would crack them open and your parents would give you like $10 to choose a book with. That is the magic that Amanda's trying to recreate here, and I'm so down for it.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to like give out details now, or do you just want to like send people towards your thing?
Oh man, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm a ace marketer, so I guess
Today's the big launch. Oh, if you want details, they're coming.
yeah, clearly, yes. Thank you, Ryan, very much for bringing that up. Great question. If you would like to be a part of the Cannabis Literary Showcase, the inaugural, the first of its kind, it is in March and the deadline is January 15th. And all you have to do is send me an email and I will send you the information on how to participate. My email is emeraldtempleliving@gmail.com. I have a question though. So it crossed my mind to like create a whole new email for this project. Just, like Cannabis Literary Showcase at gmail.com. Nothing crazy.
Sure.
I'm not building a whole website for it at this point. Let's just see, I just want to get a vibe and see if this idea kind of takes off, right? Although we do have a booth and it is happening. It's just like, a website's like is a commitment, right? How do you feel about that? Like, as another entrepreneur, do you think it's important to have a whole other ass email?
Look, other people need to chime in here because I have my original Gmail that I created. You don't have to dig very hard to find it, but it is a bit of a Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy quote that I cut up and made into my email address because, hey, the year was 2000 or 1998 or whatever. Like, that's what we were getting into. Here it is, 25 years later, and I have since created many other email addresses, but Gmail loves to go like, give me the original so we can connect all of this. And so things still come through that email. And now I am shackled into paying for all of these other emails because Google goes, hey, look, we see you're using a lot of these emails. We would love to get a little piece of that. And I have finally like reached my limit of getting more emails and paying for them. So now if you get something from me, it might be through my Loud 100 brand. It also might be the thing that I set up when I was 16 and I just go, fuck it. Nobody's really looking at these things anyways. So as a tired person who's done with it, just use Emerald Temple. And from my professional brand recommendation, you should set up a whole landing page and all the fun stuff.
I know, I'm so torn on that, actually. It's just one of those things. I just feel like sometimes you get a little burnt out on all of the online aspects of something like this literary showcase is tangible. It's a tangible exhibit. You're going to go in, you're going to hold the books, you're going to read them, you're going to see them in your hands and feel the paper. It's this
smell the paper. You're going to be able to smell
the paper. You're going to crack that, hear that crackling spine. This isn't.
Hey, don't crack spines of books you have not purchased yet.
I'm just going to pre-crack them before everyone gets there.
That stresses me out just thinking about it.
So this is a tangible thing. And then, it's like the struggle where then on the other end in 2023, now almost 2024, I think there is this expectation, like people want to see the social media landing page. They want to see a designated website. They want to see a designated email. And I'm just like left wondering like, why? Anyway, this all went through my head as I was planning. So in case you guys are wondering why it's my personal email, I just said, fuck it. I mean, I'm kind of over online. I really am just kind of over it.
Look, I mean, I think it's fair to be like end of year. Let's talk about burnout because that's what we were talking about before this. And the good thing is we weren't burnt out on the podcast. Like we got together last week and had some like scheduling things we had to resolve, and we did. And we were like, cool, let's record an episode, and then just didn't because not that like this is hard. We just didn't press record, and then time went by, and we were like, oh, okay, all right, well, we'll get it next week. So that's what we're here doing. But it's like this is thankfully, and it sounds like your book project is something that has given you a little excitement. And so now you're like digging into it at the end of the year. But many of my other projects are maybe on ice until the beginning of next year for some reason,
Yeah.
which means maybe they're dead at this point.
No. I think January 1st brings a clarity that even though there's in theory there's nothing special about the day after tomorrow, I think New Year's does bring a clarity. I feel like the air smells fresher, the sky looks bluer. The New Year is a good restart. And I've tried using my birthday the same way that people use New Year's. So try to flip it out and be like, well, this is my New Year's. My birthday is my new year. Here we go, which
I've
makes
never
no
considered
sense.
that.
But it doesn't have the impact of January 1st. There's something about it culturally. There's this significance to this completely meaningless day of the year that I look forward to. Once November hit, I was like, I can't wait for 2024.
You know what? That explains why everyone is microdosing Christmas music around me. They're all just pushing off their responsibilities till January. I get it. Okay, well, I will join you all. Someone bring me a ham and some juniper berries.
You know what? I'm in. I mean, we got to get through Christmas first. So I heard that you went and saw Santa this week.
Yeah, we were kind of catching up, and that was a thing. My kid is 8. They are the one holding up all of the Santa beliefmanship in the house. They're totally into it. And so we've gone to see Santa several years. A couple of times mall Santas, they're fine. That'll get you there. One year we went to, I live in Portland, Oregon. So of course, hipster Santa was an option. And he was great. He was wearing this like $300 cardigan, and he had like a waxed mustache and a really, really nice beard and Austrian accent or something.
What?
But yeah, no, hipster Santa was great, but the lines it was a little much, like anything hipster. And this was back when Portland had put a bird on it. So now we go to my kid's dentist has like a private Santa. You like get a little slot, you go and you show up, they like lead you back to a room, and the most convincing Santa you've ever seen is sitting there with like an old gold like reindeer belt, like someone in Wisconsin must make these for just Santas.
Wow.
Perfect beard, has got the patter down. Dude knows what's up. My kid's like, I want a ferret. And he's like, well, I have a very long contract that everyone in your family would have to sign. And I just don't think that makes sense for pets right now. It's like he talked my kid out of their weird pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this guy knows what's up. So yeah, I don't know if you do any kind of traditions like that, or you did when you were a kid or whatever, but that's the thing that I'm kind of a Scrooge about the holidays, but I relent when it comes to my kid sitting next to an old guy for some reason.
I'm very anti-consumerism. So these holidays are my least favorite. I also don't have kids, so I don't need to be in the Christmas spirit. But Elf, the movie Elf, gets me every single time. The joy of that movie has single-handedly saved Christmas for years since it came out. I don't know what it is about that movie, but it literally warms my heart. My heart grows 3 times larger. I'm like the Grinch, and Elf is my Cindy Lou Who, okay? It just changes everything for me.
I volunteered on December 2nd, and the person I was working with said, hey, I watched Elf last night because I'm trying to get in the spirit. And then the other person I was volunteering with was like, I watched Elf last night too.
Yeah.
And then we're at a coffee shop, and one of the people who's there drinking their coffee said, I watched Elf last night too. So I think you are all onto something here. That is a lovely movie.
It has a lot of joy in it. But I used to work at Santa's Castle. I worked at Santa's Castle at the mall for years. That was my seasonal job. I think
everyone, if you are listening to the podcast like I am, and Amanda just casually mentions a job she's had, take a shot, because this is like, please don't reveal them any faster than you are right now. I would love for this to just keep going for forever. But yes, tell us about working with Santa.
Yes, I understand my odd jobs have become somewhat infamous at this point. I mean, I used to work there seasonally at Square One, which is this huge mall, and I did it for years. I was working as the photographer at the time. I was doing photography.
Yes.
So I was the mall Santa photographer. That was my job. And the Santas are really hit or miss. Like they're either
Is it one per day? They've got to come in and out throughout the day, right?
I think they would do 5-hour shifts.
Yeah.
They were all elderly. They were all older, like 65 plus minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were even older, like in their 80s. So they're all like elderly people. No shade, but that's 8 hours is a long day. So I think their shifts were like more like 5 because they don't get breaks. That's the other thing. They're not allowed to take breaks because we get such long lines. Sometimes that lineup is like 5-6 hours long. So especially closer to the holidays, because Square One was known to be a particularly good location for Santas.
You really got to do your Santa checks every year.
There's a dark side to the Santa industry. And the company I worked for had like a funny name, like Santa Clones. It had the word clones in it, like something like that. But I loved it. I was also not very joyful at that time, but it brought me like a serious appreciation for the art of the Santa photo. And like as a memory, I think it's like a really good keepsake. So I'm actually a big fan of that.
Well, I wish you had been there to give me some pointers. Santa Pro was like, parents, get behind here. Let's get a couple of photos. And they snapped a few of us. And my eyes were closed in all of them.
No.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm not going on the Christmas card this year. That's not a thing we do anyway.
Okay, no, because that is actually one of the things you have to do as the photographer is take at least one picture where everyone's eyes are open. So the fact that your eyes were closed, I am not impressed on your behalf.
And we had so much time too. I mean, here's the thing. Professional Santa, not professional photographer. It's like, use your phone, hang out, do whatever you want. So that's the trade-off we're making here. So, that's okay. Tis the season, I guess.
Something like that. Anyway, all right. Well, the art of the Santa photographer is to sell the crying photos. And I got to say, I was pretty good at that.
I do like that. That is great. And you get the parents on it. And unfortunately, you should have had them sign model releases that they were not reading, because you would have a fantastic coffee table book right now.
You know what? Isn't that the moment to reflect on at the end of the year when you're like, in the moment, you don't realize you're going to look back and think, oh, this was so fun. Like as I'm sweating, screaming children surrounding me, the walls are closing in, music is fucking blaring, you're like, get me out of here now. And now I look back and I'm like, damn, that was actually pretty cute. I saved a few because at the time I was a working photographer, so I did have a portfolio to add to.
Sure. There were some low angles you took, some liberty on. You went, you know what, this one's going in the portfolio.
To be fair, this was almost 20 years ago. So stealing other families' photos at work wasn't like frowned upon. I feel like today there would have to be some sort of thing I got them to sign to like take copies of the photos. But 20 years ago, and it was 20 years ago, you could just print a copy and take it home with you.
You know what? Same. Like I had a friend that worked at a camera shop, and they did photographs, and they would just have like the big machine back there that was just constantly spitting out photos.
Right.
And for whatever reason, most of these machines, like, you would see with the photos that were being spit out of these things, just like standing in line or whatever. And yeah, they would routinely be like, oh, this is a really great, let's say sunset, and then copy that one for their own collection. And yeah, I think you're right. I think you can't do that at all anymore. That's really highly frowned upon.
I mean, at the time, no one would have even batted an eye. I probably just asked my boss, hey, can you make a second copy? I want to put that in my portfolio. And he probably just said, yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah, you
click, boom.
Press the button or turn the crank. I mean, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. So anyway, but I was thinking about going to get photos done this year. I do take my dog some years to go.
Oh yeah, they do usually do like a pets and Santa kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Hey, that's great. Bring the
she's
family
pretty cool.
dog, get
Yeah.
some photos. Yeah, and
Um,
push the 16-year-old out of the way with the camera and say, "Here, let a real pro do this."
well, I am looking for a part-time job, so maybe I could just squeeze a couple of hours in. I don't know what I'd get paid now, but it was pretty premium at the time, I will say, and a very generous holiday bonus. Very
Oh,
generous.
see, hey, I don't mind that. I don't. Well, speaking of jobs, we kind of created some work for ourselves this year.
Ah,
We kind of this was the year where we launched the Scentelligence wheel, which I am still really proud of. Every now and then we sell one of those on the site, which is great. I know it's probably the best place to buy them right now. Amazon turned us down for a print on demand because we're cannabis related, or
are
they
you
actually don't
serious?
tell you why. They just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we will not give you a merchant services account," and there's no appeal process. So maybe we'll try and sneak it in some other way, but yeah, that's a bummer. But how you can get it, Amanda? Give us your
Oh,
URL.
yeah. So again, decided not to create a dedicated website to this project. You can find it on mine. It's emeraldtempleliving.com.
Yes.
I'm laughing because I've really grown to dislike my branding, but we're in too deep. It's not going anywhere. So just last month, we did put the digital version of the aroma wheel on my website, my other digital downloads. So you can check it out and get it there. And we just sold one this week. So I'm insanely proud of that project. I am so proud. I love that me and Ryan collaborated on it. I feel like it was a full team collaboration from start to finish, from concept to execution. Like we really did it together, which is very cool. And as you guys know, we live in different cities. So we didn't even meet until August. We launched it in March.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, I feel like I get to hang out with Amanda every week, but definitely doing it virtually had its own challenges, and Amanda would like lay out 100 Post-it notes on a table and like take pictures of it and send it to me, and then we would get on like a Zoom call like this and move things around and have like serious debates on if something was sweet or candy or that kind of thing. So it was born out of a lot of work and conversations, and I still use it like on a weekly basis. If I'm just gonna sit here and do some notes on some flower, I'll bring it up and it gives me so much direction, and I'm the dude who made it. So it's like we worked on this and it's still a tool that I use. So I think that's pretty cool. It's not just like innate knowledge that I have. It is something that requires a little bit of focus and helps a lot.
Yes. And I think it's so great. So I'm really excited. We launched it this year in March. So it hasn't even been a full year since it came out. Having done some workshops on it over the year and bringing it to like Alberta and British Columbia, it's very cool to see people interact with it. Just seeing something you did that's really cool and just putting it out into the world, it's a very accomplished feeling. We're talking about doing a version 2. So for anyone who listens regularly, we have a new version that'll be coming out next year. Same wheel, different poster. So nothing's changing about the wheel, just the poster layout is going to just slightly be changed around just a little bit.
Yeah, right now it's a very useful tool. We might add some more education to it so it can be a little more standalone, and a place like a dispensary can put it up and somebody can walk up and figure out how to use it without someone holding their hand and saying like, well, these are the different categories and that sort of thing. So yeah, hey, making it a little more clear for folks who have no experience with a flavor wheel.
I feel so good about the list. And as more research comes out and I see we've got all the bases covered, I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's great. It's totally in line with all of the like front of the line science stuff too. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's made to be evergreen, and get yours today.
Yeah, go get one.
No, but it was cool. So Scentelligence was also a little, I guess you could call it, formulation group that Amanda and I put together. And we've been doing some consulting and some flavor creating behind the scenes and Also on the podcast, some of the projects like the gin project that we made with the nitrogen extracted junipers and some terpenes and melon flavoring was great. It was super fun. I don't have any left. I might have to make some more, and it would be kind of perfect for the holidays because it does have that sort of holiday freshness, pine tree juniper thing going, and then also balanced with the melon, it makes it kind of very surprising and fresh tasting. So maybe
Yes.
that's what I'll bring to the holiday party at my in-laws. Hey, here's some gin with terpenes in it.
Oh yeah, you should. Well, right now, I think one of our ingredients was cantaloupe terpenes. We're going with this throwback to February or March, I think.
I know I'd have to look at, like, we use like a cantaloupe haze profile. We also
Right.
used an OG profile. We mixed those at a concentration that we both agreed on. That was another virtual formulation sesh.
And to give you guys an idea of what virtual formulation is like, Ryan and I both have to purchase the terpenes we want to experiment with and have them sent to Portland and Toronto. So we have to double order everything to make sure we have all the same ingredients. And then we have to meticulously follow each other's instructions, like to the most minute, because we're not making a big jug of lemonade. We're making a drop difference using isolated flavors and isolated terpenes. So we actually both invested in pipettes this year as well to make sure that our measurements were completely accurate.
Right. And some of our samples we're creating are like less than a mil, just when we're developing, like, okay, hey, how does this, like, if we're, one of the projects we were doing had a pastry base. We were doing several things with like a pastry flavor and aroma. So we wanted to come up with something that we thought was very convincing and had like a standard pastry that we could then add and mix into the other flavors. And so, yeah, it was just a lot of smelling and a lot of getting our nose and stuff and very careful measuring. And then also, I think a lot of our virtual conversations about scent help contribute to creating a communication tool like the wheel, because it's like, this is about talking to someone on the other side of the world who doesn't have the same reference points as you. So let's try and find some common ground so we can have a conversation.
Yes. And we do also take paid work, guys. So we did have a project commissioned this year where we did the virtual formulation that had to be very fucking precise and easily replicated, because not only were we in different places, but the brand was also in a totally different place that neither of us were in. So we did sign a pretty ironclad NDA. We're not going to delve into the details, but we did manage to come up with quite a robust series of flavors, and they loved the formulations the first batch we sent.
Yeah, which it was not the first batch we made. It was definitely some virtual arm wrestling, like any good project partners. Super happy with the end results. I thought everything smelled, tasted amazing. I guess we're still waiting to see if some of these products are going to market. Let's just say some regulation changes have slowed us down a little bit, but
yes.
More room in the future.
Yeah, but it's been fun to do these smells and flavors. And it's funny because, like Ryan was saying, we do end up getting into these discussions because we have to be able to describe what we're experiencing using our words. So let's say we were creating like a flavor that's like a pear. Is it a crisp pear? Is it a warm pear? Like, there's so many. Orange would be another good example, because I talk about citrus on this podcast all the time. But let's say we are coming up with something that is an orange flavor. Well, is it like an orangesicle? Is it like a warm orange? Is it a bitter orange? Is it the fun of tangerine? Is it the cheer of a mandarin? These are all things you have to find words for and come to an agreement on when you're establishing a flavor. If a brand were to just say, do orange, you have to like kind of navigate exactly what the goal is and how we're going to make it happen using terpenes that we have to have on hand. So that was another very successful project this year.
Yeah, super neat. I think, some small example is our conversation with David Downs, where we talked about the strain of the year permanent marker, where we all went and got our hands on some of it and got to get our noses in different batches from different cultivators and kind of talk about what was similar and what was different between that. And very few, I mean, you get it in wine and chocolate and many other industries. So why not cannabis? I feel like we're not paying enough attention to that. And, you know, if you listen to this podcast, you've already heard that a million times. But it's why these projects were important to us and why we put a lot of like energy into them this year.
Absolutely.
I want to talk quickly about our birch root beer OG incense that we made.
Yum.
Which I still have some of because it basically did not stick around. It didn't hold its great smell. Like it smelled great for like half a week and then it was bad. And it was like, okay, cool. Now we will do more stress testing on things.
This is a really good example of ways that skills can influence things, but not all skills can be transferable. Okay, not all things are transferable. So yes, I have made over 1 million sticks of incense over the past few years, working at an Era's apothecary and making all the products for their store. Incense, we have hundreds of different kinds of incense. I make all of them from scratch using essential oils. When adding cannabis terpenes, which are very similar to essential oils, when it was combusted, as in when we added the flame to it, it just changed it so significantly. I was so not expecting that. Like I do a lot of different types of smell projects and skills overlap like that, where I would take my, you know, essential oil incense making approach into terpene incense making approach. And yet that was a really good, and you'd think it wouldn't have changed it as much because we combust terpenes in vape pens and you know, on your weed, you might passively put the terpenes in your weed and infuse them and it works the same and it tastes the same. So that was a bit of a wild card scenario and a bit of a learning lesson for me.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise. Well, you know, I'm learning that the liquid in a perfume bottle, that's not called perfume. That's not called fragrance. That's called the juice. So folks in the industry are like, okay, look, the cost of the juice is like $6 per bottle, or, you know, oh, we're actually overjuicing these bottles. We need to like run it back a little bit. So I love that that's just like the thing that they're calling that in this industry. Right. So, hey, I guess when we added the juice to these, it was too much, but it was a good reason for us to see what is actually going to work and then not just be like, the idea on paper is the project. The idea is the result we're shooting for. And then the project is going to be all of the pain in the ass of getting to that conclusion.
Exactly. You know, I'm thinking back to our muskmelon OG. I think you should post the recipe this week on our socials because cantaloupe was actually in the news in Canada.
Oh, yeah. I know that it's a little divisive. I love cantaloupe.
I love cantaloupe.
Yeah. Like I can carry a melon around and just get my nose in it. That thing is good.
Big fan.
So tell me, why is it in the news?
Oh, there's an E. coli outbreak. Cantaloupe.
I could just lick a cantaloupe
Not here,
unwashed straight from the earth. No, sir.
Not here.
Okay.
How does a cantaloupe get E. coli inside of it? I mean, I don't know. I need to dig a little deeper, but no, they recalled several different brands cantaloupes this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Little Timmy with no cantaloupe in his lunch, just crying.
I know.
Sad.
Christmas is ruined.
Yeah. My Christmas cantaloupe tradition. I don't know. You're going to have to cross the border if you want sweet, musky melon.
I know. So actually, maybe people would be down because there's no real cantaloupe in cantaloupe terpenes. So
yeah, well, you know, anything that we might be using is essentially a distillate at that point. So we're though let's talk about some terrible news that I heard. A bunch of eye drops were being produced under unsanitary conditions in the United States, and sold under many brands. And they had a antibiotic resistant bacteria in them that like wreaked havoc. People died. And, you know, you buy something like eye drops, which is sold in this like sterile looking bottle. You have to peel off everything. It's boxed, you know, you're like, this feels perfectly fine to go in my eyes. No, it is not.
Wow.
So, all right. Yes. You can only live on a farm and use eye drops that you made yourself from goat's milk.
My Christmas wish is the fall of capitalism. And this is bringing me a weird sense of joy.
Oh, it's feeling close. It's feeling close.
Wow. Shit, man. I mean, listen, you can make saline yourself. Making your own saline is just salt and water.
Yeah. Just find a salt that feels good in your eyes and then water it down to the point that it feels refreshing. Gin and eye drops. This is what we got going. No, we did source quite a bit of stuff this year. I mean, we worked on a lot of stuff, so there was always some sort of bottle to have sent our way and get our nose in. I tried to go as deeply into the fragrance world as I could. I spent a lot of time with some people who are like respected in perfume here in Portland to try and like learn as much as I can. There's so much to learn there, guys. Like the French were like the first people to really like get their nose on things and start writing about it. That's part of where the perfume culture came from. And so there's just a lot of heavy thinking that's been done around the subject. Very helpful for the kind of stuff we work on. So I am digging into that. I feel like Amanda got the other end of that spectrum when you received a box of flavoring oils, we'll say, from a supplier that we have worked with in the past. And it was just all bad. Like we had a call that was like laughing at how bad these supplies were. I'm really trying my hardest not to throw anybody under the bus because who knows? I don't know. Maybe this one was like left out in the sun for a week or something. But yeah, we certainly didn't go with them with that project.
That's the thing about the fucking internet. Like we have used this supplier before. They produce terpenes. We've both worked with them. I was excited for some new flavors that they had launched and some new projects. I mean, this falls into things I'm obsessed with, new smells, new ways of producing them. I was excited to get the package. They very generously sent it for free. A lot of terpene companies will because we end up using them and it ends up getting them business. So a lot of times you can get samples, no problem. Always appreciative of that. But I have never smelled anything so bad in my life. In my life. Oh. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I still have them.
Yeah, like me too. I don't think I've thrown anything out of my smell catalog away. I have things that are probably so off and are like 15 years old at this point, but I'm like, well, I still want to smell it. Oh, it doesn't smell like it used to. Yeah, nerd stuff.
So I have weed in jars from when I worked in Humboldt County pre-legalization. Like I cleaned out my office. I have Girl Scout cookie and Blue Dream, and I keep them in there. It's brown. It's so ugly, but the fucking smell is still there.
I love that. See, and you're keeping them almost for like librarian type purposes. You're like, I do want to check in on this and see how it's changing and evolving.
I wish I could preserve it in a better way because it's obviously always deteriorating quality. And I was hoping some of the samples that I got sent would be reflective of the smells I was looking for in this instance, but it wasn't. A few people came on the live when I unboxed it. So for those handful of people that witnessed my absolute fucking horror, you're welcome, because I had to delete that video. I felt so bad. If people ask me to recommend a company, I wouldn't recommend that one. But I don't need to go out of my way to shit on them, right? Like, I will be honest.
And, you know, I think they do important education stuff. And I know that they have some products that I would stand behind. So who knows? It's part of the digging through the chaff to get to the wheat, or whatever we'd like to say here.
You literally never said that.
No, that's not a thing people say. They're separating the wheat from the chaff, I think is it. I'm just digging through that chaff.
Yeah.
Every little grain of wheat. But that makes me want to ask, like, okay, is there any herb or any smell in particular over this last year that stands out as being especially good, especially bad? I'm having a hard time picking something out like immediately, but I think if I sat here on it, I could come up with a few.
Well, last week was a big cannabis event. It's called Kind Fair, and they do a winter and a summer one. And I've gone pretty much to all of them. And so it happened last week. I will admit I am a winter denier. I don't believe in winter. So I showed up to the outdoor winter event in winter in a sweater with no gloves, scarf, or hat. Don't ask me why. If you can hear my voice, I got sick.
Oh, there you go. That'll do that.
So yeah, still, I just don't believe in winter, but it believes in me. So yeah, it was last week, and I got some really great samples. They've opened sampling up in Ontario, so brands are able to give out samps of their stuff, and there were a few new brands that really stood out. One of the products that I actually really loved, I have it right here, so let's see if I can find the branding on it. It was a watermelon crush pre-roll from Vox Pops. I think it's like a general admission decibel cannabis offshoot. And basically it's one of those pre-rolls where you squeeze the filter and it pops flavor in.
Yes.
It's a crushy.
Camel Crush, if you were around in the 2000s and had a bunch of trashy friends like I did.
Yes, I did too. So I got their crushies. So I actually at first ripped the weed out of the pre-roll and re-rolled it to taste it. I loved it. And then I popped the crushie, which I thought I was going to hate, and I fucking loved it too. It was watermelon, and it really tasted like watermelon, but it wasn't overpowering. It was like cool. Like they must have put a little menthol moment in there. It was like, it made it actually refreshing. And it's been a while since I've been wowed by a pre-roll.
It's always surprising when they do get you. And I do feel like occasionally at some shows, they're like, let's put our best foot forward and really rock these pre-rolls with some quality material. And then you go, damn, I really like this brand. And then later your mileage might vary. But see, also, that's why I appreciate you, Amanda. We are both purists on here, and we're like, give me the good stuff from like the old guy on the hill. But every now and then somebody's like, you got to try this Oreo we dipped in like blueberry flavored wax, and I'm like, yum yum yum, it's delicious. Wow. That's what it is. Like, all right, I'm an appreciator of all the things. Sometimes it's White Castle and sometimes it's like a really nice ribeye, and they can both be good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry too, because I actually liked it. I was planning on not liking it because I don't like the false flavors, but shit, it tastes really good. And the weed on its own stood on its own without the crushy. So like the whole experience was wow worthy. And I would have never bought these in store, me personally, because I'm more of a flower person. So that wowed me. Another standout product this year for me was Sheesh hash sodas. And they're made with live hash resin. They launched this year. The guy, Matt and Jackie are the owners. They are literally the nicest people. So immediately I wanted to like the product, right? You meet the brand. They're just so cool. They love what they do. So I'm like, God, I hope their product backs this up because I want to like this product. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it. The flavor, but more than the flavor, the effects was just so what I would want in a soda. That's, I think, 10 milligrams of THC. They did a really great job. And overnight, they became a national bestseller.
Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely. Cool. They were best-selling in Ontario, and now they've expanded bud tenders' favorite drinks. And that's saying a lot. So you heard it here. I heard.
What were the soda flavors? What were the flavors of the drinks?
So their inaugural flavor is a black cherry. If something just tastes like what it's supposed to when it comes to weed infused, that is a major green flag because once you add the distillate, you can overdo the terpenes. You can mismatch the terpene profile, but they're using live hash rosin. And I actually just wrote an article about them because I was so wowed. And the article was done. And I went back and finished it with them just because their product was so amazing. And so they said their first round was really high in farnesene, which imparted a bit of a peppery taste. And so they incorporated flavors that would really work well with the cannabis they were using.
Yeah.
It's as close as an expression to the plant as you can get without eating a nug, right? Like they're extracting the purest form. I guess we talked about this in the Canasulfurs episode because that's what they used to produce those samples. So they're using the same process to produce these bevies. So
very nice. I just had a jar of some food grade hash rosin. I finally was like, you know what? I haven't done anything with this. I gave it to a friend. She made a bunch of very simple gelatin-based edibles with it and then was like, hey, thanks. Here's like a jar for you to have. And they're so effective. I sleep like a baby on them. But because they are made with box Jello and coconut oil, and the flavor was Gorilla Glue, they taste so funky, and they have a not great texture. And so it is like choking them down. And then I'm like, okay, I will sleep great now. So it's great to hear that someone has done a little more work than mixing up some Jello and some hash and has something that like tastes great and like has a flavor balance to prevent that sort of like I'm eating weed experience. Yeah.
You know, and that's what I was expecting. But I also, having tried their drinks, realized that I think even as someone who works in the industry, understands these products and tries a lot of them, I realized that I have a preference for these types of full spectrum products more so than distillate-based products. And it's because I like the effects. I like the full spectrum effects. It makes me feel more like I'm enjoying myself than I'm dying.
I mean, I think that's a really good point. Like I can drink a pot of coffee and I'm doing pretty good. And I buy nice coffee. But if I drink a 5-hour energy, like my muscles are like shaking and I'm not feeling great. And yeah, there's a lot of other things to compare besides caffeine content between those two. But I just feel like you're getting a more, I don't know if natural is the right word, but the experience is definitely more gentle and more complex and complete when you have like the whole plant, you know? And I even like anytime extractions are like, yeah, we even like for RSO, like we use the root ball in this. I'm like, okay, cool, great. I feel like we're getting more out of that than we would if it was just the leaves and the buds.
Huh, interesting. But yeah, exactly. I'm mulling over the root ball.
Yeah, no, hey, I don't know. I remember hearing that once. Like people are like, we put the whole plant into this. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, let's hear about this.
Okay, I kind of dig it. I dig it.
Sure. Hey, it's for somebody.
That's pretty cool. I mean, other weed highlights have to be going to Portland this year. Like that's a big podcast deal because we actually got to hang out and explore the Portland weed scene for a few days. That very much changed my perspective on how cannabis can be. Even though I've been to Portland and I was there before, like I came with a new lens, you know, because we were seeking out flavors. We were seeking out very specific things. And it was cool that Portland delivered. Since I left, I've been telling everyone, if you want to see weed at its finest, you got to go to Oregon. Unquestionably.
Yeah, you know, even though like some of my friends and I like to bitch about the like grand consolidation that has happened in the last 10 years or so, it's still a lot of the same folks behind the weed on the shelves. And that's still really exciting. And I think though we sort of as a market fell into the trends in those early pandemic years where it was like, we're just trying to get product on the shelves because it's going to sell no matter what. Now that we're in like a tighter, more competitive market, the trend hunting, the outlier hunting, this trying to find something that really stands out is something that like Oregonians just have to do to survive. And so that means if I want to go get something that smells like banana gummy bears, like we can find it. Mm-hmm. We might have to look a little bit, but it's not a huge scavenger hunt to find the great weed.
Or tacos.
Yes. Yeah. Tacos, great weed. We're going to have you out here again this next year. And we're already like filling up the calendar with some fun stuff.
I can't wait. I can't wait to come back. Before we go, Ryan, is there anything you really want for Christmas?
Oh, just more sweatpants and ashtrays and coffee cups.
Nice.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Love for Santa to bring me a copy of the book Heads Together, which is the newest book on cannabis independent and underground publications from the 70s. So it's at your local library. Go check it out.
There you go. And just steal that copy and send it to
No,
us.
we don't steal from the library. Okay.
The last people to steal from is the library.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We hope you have a happy new year. Don't forget to give us 5 stars and follow us on Instagram at @the.smokingspot.
Thanks, everyone.
Said no matter what kind of pain and anguish life may bring you, oh, smoke it up, hold it down, and don't ever stop. Well, you can always find your smoking spot. Yeah, you can always find your smoking spot.
Hey, Smoking Spot fans. We're here to tell you about the newest launch from Scentelligence projects.
Over the last year, we've created the Cannabis Aroma Wheel. It's a sensory tool designed to help connoisseurs take their knowledge to the next level. So whether you're a bud tender, dispensary owner, cultivator, or you just love the smell of weed, you can better appreciate the cannabis in front of you.
Get your copy of the most detailed sensory tool built specifically for the cannabis industry and order your Cannabis Aroma Wheel today at Scentelligenceproject.com.